It's Sunday evening here in Cheshire. I'm out with the dogs again. I should have thought about filming a few minutes ago actually, because the sun's just been going down over these trees over here and it was just completely red. It's fantastic. Still quite attractive now actually. But actually there's two things on my mind. The first thing on my mind actually right now is my fucking mouth. I get these mouth ulcers. It's a bit gross this actually, I apologise in advance. But I do get these crops of mouth ulcers. And I've got some at the moment, and it's like my tongue is 4 times its usual size, it feels like. And I can hardly close my mouth, and speaking is a real pain in the arse. So if I'm slurring, I apologise. The only advantage is it gives me an opportunity to buy a bottle of Stolichnaya vodka, which is the best thing for curing the pain of mouth ulcers. It doesn't cure the ulcers themselves, but it completely numbs the pain, so that's quite nice. Anyhow, that's not what I want to talk about. I was thinking about time actually. Time and space. I was talking about this a while back. I was trying to wrap my head around it a while back, and couldn't get it then. I'm not sure I've got it now, but it's to do with, you know, it's funny that we kind of exist in time, isn't it? Really, I think. In the same way that we exist. Well, not in the same way, but we do exist in time as well as existing in space. And I'm just thinking how weird it would be, and interesting, if the kind of boundaries that we have in space were similar to the boundaries we have in time. I mean, I think they are in some ways, it just doesn't feel like that. Because the boundaries that we have in space, you know, like I don't know if I'm evident on this shot, but I appear to be a relatively coherent object in space. And there's my dogs, Sky and Phoebe, and they look like coherent objects in space, you know, bounded. They've got like an outline. There's a place where they start and a place where they stop. And I kind of feel like that sometimes. And I certainly look like that when I look in the mirror. I say kind of because I think that's just a kind of visual thing when you're looking at yourself in the mirrors and stuff. It doesn't really feel exactly like that. I don't really feel like I'm bounded in space, but I just think about what I feel like. I feel like I'm extending out into space to a certain extent as far as I can see, and to a certain extent how I can hear. But that's, you know, that's a bit different, I think, really. But you know, the primary thing about being extended in space is it feels like, or I think of it in terms of like an object is extended in space. It's got solid boundaries. There's a clear place where it starts and ends. But we're also extending time. By which I mean that you know, this moment of now that I'm living in, it isn't just a sluice gate between the past and the present. At least it doesn't feel like that, and some stuff I've read about it doesn't suggest that. It isn't, you know, the point where the read-write head of an old tape recorder hits the tape. It's that there's a slice of tape there, it seems to be, that constitutes this moment of now. And I know some people have written about that. I know William James, the psychologist, philosopher chap, he called it specious present, the moment of now. And he gave it a time span, I think of up to about 8 or 9 seconds. He says we'll live in a period of time up to about 8 or 9 seconds. I've heard it also in Husserl, I think, where he talks about this moment of now, as I say, not being a slice across an otherwise linear timeline. This moment of now in Husserl has moments of the past and moments of the present in it. The moments of the now, the not now, and the not yet now, I've heard it referred to as. So when we're listening to a sentence, for example, or when we're listening to a piece of music, we don't just hear one note, and that's the moment that's happening now. The last few notes, or the last few words in the sentence, are kind of occupying the same moment that we're listening in. And also we're anticipating the next couple of notes, or we're anticipating the next couple of words in the sentence, and that's part of the now. And we're sometimes taken by surprise if that's wrong, but now our kind of sense of time goes off a wee bit. And that sense of now, I think, that sense of now, that boundary that we live in, that temporal boundary as well as the spatial boundary, is quite variable, I understand. I know certainly if you're under stress, or like, you know, I used to ride motorbikes when I was much younger, and I fell off my motorbike 4 or 5 times, and I was never seriously hurt. But I do remember those moments very, very well. of of doing the whole time slowing down thing. You see it going sideways. You watch the tyres slip out from under you. You see the footrest start grinding against the road, and then every moment is identified in a much slowed down fashion, almost as if that 3 second or 7 second or however long it is, the now moment you're living in, has contracted. So there's these tiny little slices of now, and there's more and more of them because there's more of them. Time seems to slow down, as if the frame rate of your life has gone up a bit. And conversely, I think, at least so I've understood, one way of interpreting kind of contemplative practice, and that state you get into when you meditate a lot, that thing of called like entering eternity, or that kind of long now, is in some ways, so I'm assuming at least, is the opposite of that. It's you get into a moment of now where now expands. Your subjective experience of the boundaries of your time expands. So you're existing, across a big slice of time, kind of. Yeah. So I suppose I'm just wondering what it would be like if a body was like that. Rather than it being confined, and having this clearly defined edges like my dog Guy has. Supposing he was spread out, this little pup, he knows we're talking about him. Look. Supposing he was spread out, Guy, in space and time. What do you think, Guy? What if he was spread out in space like you were spread out in time? That's not what I'm talking about. It's a different species present he's living in. And yeah, I don't know, I'll have some thought about that. It's a fantastic evening here actually. It's freezing cold. It was -5 this morning. It's about -2 now, I guess. Gorgeous.